This man is writing the visual history of our times, and we are so lucky that someone with the capacity of mind and heart and the integrity is taking on that job. Thank you very much. I do like football. I want to make this clear. I gave 7 of my youngest, prettiest years to being a cheerleader for football, basketball, and wrestling. I have watched more Pee Wee football, Pop Warner football, JV and varsity high school football, JV and varsity college football, and professional football in 60 years than anybody here. But if you hear a woman in a restaurant say, "My son is very interested in the arts," she's not talking about football or mixed martial arts, because they're just not the same thing. Some of us like football, some of us like the arts, many of us want both in our lives. And it isn't helpful to make it us versus them. I was making a joke, and Mike Nichols told me, "If you have to explain the joke, Meryl, you're doomed." So, I honestly can't imagine what I have done to deserve this great honor. In the hours, all I did was kiss Alice and Janney. In take after take. And it wasn't that hard at all. And I'm also fairly proud of a very jolly portrayal of a gay conversion therapist on Lisa Kudrow's web therapy that I did. And I feel our vice president might want to check out those episodes. Because my character's views seem to dovetail with his, although it involves comedy, so I don't know if it's And I want to thank Chad and everybody at the Human Rights Campaign for this moving and very meaningful honor, which I dedicate to my gay and trans teachers, colleagues, mentors, directors, friends, all of whom should take the credit for me being up here, because they taught me from a very young age, and they continue to remind me every day of the very best lesson, and that is to be yourself and love and take joy in the world. And I'm very grateful to this incredible organization, Human Rights Campaign, for what you have done in such a smart, strategic, and systematic way to secure and safeguard the rights of LGBTQ Americans. Most of the advances in acceptance and advocacy and law have come straight from the work of this organization. Well, I don't know how straight it was. But you have made made the lives of people I love better, stronger, and safer. When I was a little girl growing up in middle-class New Jersey, my entire artistic life was curated by people who lived in the straitjacket of a very conformist suburban life. In the late 50s and early 60s, all the houses in my neighborhood were the same size in the developments. They even were the same shape and color and style. And in the schools, your job was to put pennies in your loafers and look the same as everybody else and act the same as everybody else. Standing out, being different, was like drawing a target on your forehead. And you had to have a special kind of courage to do it. And some of my teachers were obliged to live their whole lives hidden, covertly. But my 6th and 7th grade music teacher, Paul Grossman, was one of the bravest people I knew. Because later, when I was in graduate school, I read that he had transitioned and become one of the first transgender women in the country. Woo! And after the operation, she reported back as Paula Grossman to our middle school in Basking Ridge, New Jersey, where she had taught for 30 years and she was promptly fired. But she pursued her case for wrongful dismissal and back pay through the courts for 7 years, all the way to the Supreme Court. Unfortunately, her case was not accepted and she lost. But she won her pension under a disability allowance settlement, although she was disabled only by the small minds of the school. She was a garrulous, cantankerous, she was a terrific teacher, and she never taught again. But her case did set the stage for many of the discrimination cases that followed. She and her wife raised their 3 girls. She worked as a town planner, and she had an act playing piano and singing in cocktail lounges around New Jersey. But I remember her as Mr. Grossman. And I remember when he took us on a field trip to the Statue of Liberty in 1961. And our whole class stood at the feet of that huge, beautiful woman, and we sang a song that he had taught us that was taken from the lyrics. The lyrics were taken from the poem by Emma Lazarus, engraved at the base of the monument. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. I can't remember what I did Tuesday, but I remember. Mr. Grossman chose to teach us. It stirred my 11-year-old heart heart then, and it animates my conscience today. That's what great teachers do. She died in 2003, God rest her soul. My piano teacher, George Voss. He was about 80 years old in 1965. He lived. Or he was probably 40, and I just thought he And he lived in a little house hidden away in the woods in Berkeley Heights, New Jersey, with his lover, Phil. And my mother said, his lover for 50 years. And his house wasn't like the other houses. It was a magical place. It was filled with birds and exotica and collectibles from Central and South America, which they'd gathered on their trips. I'm not going to introduce you to all my gay attractions. I just wanted to tell you about some of the people who made me an artist and who lived under duress. There is a good thing about being older. There is. You'll see. And that is, you do get to mark the decades and the progress of things. You can honestly say things are better now. They really are better now. But what is that famous quote? The price of liberty is eternal vigilance. Everybody thinks that's Jefferson that said that. But it wasn't, it was an Irishman. John Philpott Curran. Don't you know? Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. And he also said, Ken, great minds, you know? Evil prospers when good men do nothing. Ain't that the truth? Okay, here's my theory. I'm going to go very fast, so you have to stay with me, okay? Human life has been organized in a certain way. The hierarchy's set, who's in charge, who makes the laws, who enforces the laws, pretty much the same way for 40,000 years. Yeah, I know. There were some small number of matrilineal cultures and some outliers who were more tolerant of difference, is very true. But pretty much, and the so-called democracies, the great democracy of Greece, where women and slaves were excluded, pretty much through our history,